Amara's hand shook as she stared at the pregnancy test, the two pink lines blurring through her tears. 3 tests. All positive. All impossible. All terrifying. She was 38 years old, sitting on the bathroom floor of her Yosu apartment at 4 in the morning, and she was pregnant with Kang Minjae's child. The nausea hit again, sudden and vicious. She barely made it to the toilet before her stomach emptied itself, heaving until there was nothing left but bile and fear. This was the 3rd morning in a row. She told herself it was stress, bad seafood, anything but this. But her body knew the truth even when her mind refused to accept it. 10 weeks. It had been 10 weeks since that night in Seoul when Minjae had kissed her like a drowning man finding air, when they'd stumbled into his bedroom and made love with 10 years of longing and separation burning between them. One night. One unguarded, desperate, perfect night. And now, this. Amara pressed her forehead against the cool tile, trying to breathe through the panic. A baby. In her world of intelligence networks and secret surveillance and protection from the shadows. A baby when she spent her nights tracking threats and her days treating fishermen's injuries and pretending to be normal. A baby when the man she loved ran a criminal empire that attracted enemies, like blood, attracted sharks. A baby when she'd spent 10 years proving she could protect people without being consumed by their violence. Her phone buzzed. Minjae, like he always did at 4:30 in the morning, the one time his day briefly aligned with hers, stolen minutes before Seoul's chaos swallowed him whole. Morning, she answered, forcing steadiness into her voice. You sound strange. His voice was rough with sleep and immediate concern. What's wrong? Nothing, just tired. The lie tasted like acid. Busy night at the clinic. Silence. Minjae knew her too well, knew every inflection and pause. Amara? What aren't you telling me? Everything. I'm telling you nothing because I don't know how to say that everything we've built is about to change, that I'm terrified, that I don't know if I can do this. I'm fine, she said instead. How's Jiho? The deflection worked. Minjae sighed, and she could picture him running his hand through his hair, silver catching the light. He's been distracted. There's a girl. Despite everything, Amara almost smiled. A girl? Tell me everything. He won't tell me anything, which means it's serious. He's been disappearing between classes, coming home with this look on his face like... Minjae paused. Like I probably looked when I first met you. Terrified and exhilarated and completely lost. That's sweet. That's dangerous. I've had him followed. Minjae, I know, but after everything with the Song family, I can't just... He exhaled hard. He's 18, a man. I can't protect him like he's still that 8-year-old boy in the car. But I want to. God, Amara, I want to. She closed her eyes, one hand unconsciously moving to her still flat stomach. He's going to make his own choices, his own mistakes. That's what 18 means. That's what love means. I hate it. I know. More silence. Comfortable and intimate. The kind built over hundreds of these early morning calls across 6 hours of distance. I miss you, Minjae said quietly. Come to Seoul this weekend. Please. It's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks since she'd taken the pregnancy test she'd been too afraid to look at. 3 weeks of morning sickness and terror, and trying to figure out what the hell she was going to do. I'll try, she said, another lie adding to the weight. I have to go. Clinic opens soon. Amara, I love you. She hung up before he could say it back, before her voice could crack and give everything away. The pregnancy test stared at her from the counter, 3 plastic sticks holding the power to destroy everything she'd built. She gathered them up, wrapped them in toilet paper, buried them at the bottom of the trash. Like that would make them disappear. Like that would make the tiny cluster of cells in her uterus vanish. She had to tell him. She knew that. But first, she had to figure out what she wanted. Because for the first time in 10 years, Amara Thompson had no idea what the right choice was. A note from Afro-Korean Story. Hub. Before we continue, I need to address something important. 4 of you caught a critical error in part 2. Jiho was 8 when Amara saved him. I said 5 years later, but showed him at 18. You were absolutely right. The timeline was wrong. Part 2 takes place 10 years after Part 1, not 5. Amara is now 38, Minjai is 45, and Jiho is 18. This was my mistake, and I'm grateful you care enough about these characters to hold me accountable. Thank you. Now, let's continue their story properly. 2 days later, the nausea had gotten worse. Amara was between patients, sipping ginger tea and trying not to vomit in her clinic, when her phone buzzed with an encrypted message. Not from Minjai, from her other life, the one nobody knew about. Nightingale, package delivered, 3 targets confirmed, coordinates attached. Amara's hand tightened on the phone. Nightingale was her contact in the intelligence network she'd built over the past 7 years. Not the makeshift operation she'd told Minjai about. That had been real, but small, just enough to track the Song family. No, this was something else entirely. Something that had started 3 years after she'd left Seoul, when she'd realized that living quietly in Yosu wasn't enough, that the darkness kept pulling at her, that she'd developed a taste for the hunt. She joined them by accident, an international network of civilians who tracked human traffickers, weapons dealers, the kind of evil that operated in shadows. They called themselves the Invisible Hand. Former doctors, lawyers, teachers, all of them people who'd lost someone to violence and decided to fight back the only way they could. Intelligence gathering, anonymous tips to the right authorities, nothing violent, nothing illegal. Except, lately, the tips weren't going to authorities. They were going to people like Minjay, organizations that could act faster, cleaner, more permanently than any police force bound by warrants and jurisdiction. Amara had been feeding Minjay intelligence for 2 years without him knowing the source. She told him she had contacts, let him believe it was informal, small scale. The truth was larger, more dangerous, more ethically complicated than she could explain. The truth was that Dr. Sarah Mitchell, beloved community physician, spent her nights hunting monsters. And now, she was pregnant. She pulled up the coordinates, her medical training automatically cataloging symptoms even as her mind worked through tactical implications. The targets were in Busan, 2 hours from Yosu, a cell trafficking young women from Southeast Asia, operating through a shipping company. The Invisible Hand had been tracking them for months. Now they had proof, locations, schedules. Amara typed a response. Confirmed. Will pass to Seoul contact. Expect action within 48 hours. Seoul contact. Minjai, who still didn't know that half the intelligence that had made his organization so effective over the past 2 years had come from his own girlfriend's secret network. Her phone rang. Actual call, not encrypted message. That was unusual. Dr. Mitchell, the voice was female, accented, careful. We need to meet. Tonight. It's about your soul connection. Amara's blood ran cold. Who is this? Someone who knows exactly what you've been doing, and who's been doing it with you. The clinic closes at 6, the coffee shop 2 blocks away. Come alone, or your life gets very complicated very quickly. The line went dead. For a long moment, Amara just sat there, her free hand pressed against her stomach, where something impossibly small was growing, something that complicated everything even further. Then she stood, straightened her white coat, and called in her next patient. Because whatever was coming, she'd face it the same way she'd faced everything else for the past 10 years. by moving forward and dealing with the consequences later. In Seoul, Ji-ho was falling in love, and he knew it was the stupidest thing he'd ever done. Her name was Hana. She sat 3 rows ahead of him in advanced economics, always in the same seat, always with her black hair in a neat ponytail, always asking the professor questions that made half the class groan and the other half lean forward with interest. She was brilliant, funny, kind to the nervous freshmen who fumbled their presentations. And when she smiled at Ji-ho in the hallway 2 weeks ago, his entire world had shifted on its axis. They'd started with coffee, then lunch, then long walks around campus where they talked about everything: philosophy, music, the corrupt systems that perpetuated inequality, how to change the world without becoming the thing you were fighting. She wanted to work for an NGO, help people, make a real difference. She had no idea who his father was, what his family did. To her, he was just Kang Ji-ho, economics student, slightly awkward, trying to figure out his place in the world. It was the most normal he'd ever felt. "You're distracted again," Hana said, nudging him with her shoulder as they sat on a bench overlooking the campus gardens. "Where does your mind go when you disappear like that?" "Nowhere good," Ji-ho admitted. He wanted to tell her everything, wanted to explain that his father ran one of Seoul's most powerful organizations, that he'd been raised in bulletproof cars and safe rooms, that a woman he considered a second mother had taken 4 bullets for him when he was 8 years old and changed the entire trajectory of his family. But the words stuck in his throat, weighted down by years of secrecy and danger. "My family is complicated," he said instead. "Whose isn't?" Hana smiled, but something flickered in her eyes, something that looked almost like pain. "My father, we're not close. He wants me to be someone I'm not, do something I don't believe in. I love him, but I don't always like him." "What does he want you to do?" "Take over the family business. But his business is—" She stopped, shook her head. "It doesn't matter. I'm making my own path. That's what university's for, right? Figuring out who we are separate from our parents' expectations." Ji-ho reached for her hand, and when she laced her fingers through his, he felt it again. That terrifying, exhilarating sense of falling. "I think I'm falling in love with you," he said, because apparently his brain had decided to stop filtering thoughts before they became words. Hana's eyes widened, then softened. "That's either the sweetest or most terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me." "Which one?" "Both." She leaned in, and Ji-ho's heart hammered against his ribs as she kissed him, soft and careful and full of promise. He was 18 years old and in love and had no idea that the girl whose lips tasted like cherry chapstick was Song Hana, daughter of Song Jae-sung, lieutenant in the remnants of the Song family organization. The same organization that had tried to kill him twice. The same organization his father had destroyed 10 years ago, scattering the survivors into the shadows. He had no idea that this beautiful, kind, brilliant girl had been raised to hate the Kang family, taught from childhood that they were murderers who destroyed her world, that her father had sent her to this university specifically to get close to Kang Min-jae's son. He had no idea that Hana had walked into this assignment planning to seduce and betray him, but had instead made the catastrophic mistake of actually falling in love. They were both about to discover that love didn't care about family loyalty, ancient vendettas, or carefully laid plans. Love was about to destroy everything. That evening, Amara walked into the coffee shop 2 blocks from her clinic and found a woman waiting in the corner booth. Mid-40s, Korean, expensive but understated clothing, the kind of alert stillness that screamed military or intelligence training. "Dr. Mitchell, sit." It wasn't a request. Amara sat, her medical bag clutched in her lap like a shield. "Who are you?" Someone who's been cleaning up after your network for 3 years. The woman sipped her coffee, dark eyes never leaving Amara's face. The invisible hand. Noble name, noble goals. But you've been compromising operations by funneling intelligence to Kang Min-jae's organization. Amara's stomach dropped. I don't know what you're... Don't. The word cut like glass. I know exactly what you are, Dr. Mitchell. Or should I say, Amara Thompson. Former EMT from Seattle, survivor of a catastrophic accident that killed your partner, fled to Seoul 10 years ago, took 4 bullets saving Kang Ji-ho from a Song family hit, left for Yeosu, built a new life and thought you could play hero in the shadows without consequences. Every word was a precision strike. Amara forced herself to breathe. What do you want? I want you to understand that your little side project has attracted attention. The wrong kind. There are people who don't appreciate vigilante networks, even ones with good intentions. People who view the invisible hand as a threat, and your connection to Kang Min-jae makes you a particularly interesting target. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. There's a mole in your network. Someone feeding information about your operations to an organization that wants the invisible hand dismantled. They know about you. They know about Min-jae. And they're planning to use that connection to destroy both. Amara's hands clenched around her bag. Who? I don't know yet. But I know they're close to you. Close enough to know your routines, your contacts, your relationship with Min-jae. The woman leaned forward. Close enough to know you're pregnant. The world tilted. How? I make it my business to know things. And if I know, others will soon. So here's my advice, Dr. Mitchell. Tell Kang Min-jae the truth, all of it. The network, the mole, the baby. Because the people coming for you won't wait for you to figure out your secrets. They'll use them as weapons. She stood, dropped money on the table for the coffee, and walked out without looking back. Amara sat frozen, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach. Someone knew. Someone was coming. And the carefully constructed walls she'd built between her different lives were about to come crashing down. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and typed a message to Min-jae. We need to talk. Tomorrow. In person. It's urgent. His response came within seconds. What's wrong? Everything. Everything is wrong, and I don't know how to fix it, and I'm so scared I can't breathe. Tomorrow, she typed instead. I'll explain everything tomorrow. She just had to survive until then. In Seoul, Min-jae stared at Amara's message and felt his carefully controlled world start to crack. Something was wrong. He could feel it in the way she'd sounded on the phone 2 days ago, in the evasiveness of her texts, in this sudden urgency. Dae-jung, he called, and his most trusted lieutenant appeared in the doorway of his office within seconds. Boss? I want surveillance on Dr. Mitchell and Yeosu. Nothing intrusive, but I want to know if anyone unusual approaches her, if there's any threat developing. And I want it done quietly. Dae-jung hesitated. Boss, she won't like being watched. She won't know. And if I'm wrong, if everything's fine, then no harm done. But if I'm right, Min-jae's jaw clenched. If I'm right, then someone's threatening her and I need to know about it before it's too late. Understood. I'll have a team in place within 2 hours. After Dae-jung left, Min-jae returned to the window, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline. 10 years. 10 years since Amara had thrown herself in front of bullets for his son. 10 years since she'd left to build a safer life in Yeosu. 10 years of loving her from a distance, of stolen weekends and early morning phone calls and the constant weight of knowing she'd chosen peace over him. Except, she hadn't, had she? She'd chosen to protect them from the shadows, building an intelligence network that rivaled anything his own organization had created. She thought he didn't know, thought her Contacts and sources were believable, but Minjai knew Amara, knew that she couldn't sit still while people she loved were in danger, knew that the quiet life in Yeosu was partially real and partially performance. He'd let her have her secrets because she needed them, because forcing her truth would mean acknowledging things neither of them were ready to face. But if someone was threatening her now, if whatever secrets she'd been keeping were putting her in danger, then the time for comfortable lies was over. His phone buzzed. Jiho, asking permission to stay out late, study group, would be home by midnight. Minjae typed approval but felt unease crawl up his spine. Study group. His 18-year-old son, who'd been disappearing for weeks, coming home with that look on his face, refusing to talk about the girl who was clearly consuming his every thought. Minjae had been 18 once. He knew what that look meant, knew the stupid, brilliant, catastrophic choices that came with first love. He added another message. Be careful. And Jiho, whatever you're feeling, whoever she is, don't lie to me about it. Lies are what get people killed. The response came quickly. I know, Appa, I'm being careful. I promise. Minjae stared at the message and felt the weight of fatherhood and power and love pressing down on him. He'd spent 10 years building something better than what he'd inherited. An organization with ethics, with rules, with lines that couldn't be crossed. But those rules and ethics had enemies. People who saw his reforms as weakness. People who wanted the old ways back. Violence without restraint. Power without conscience. And now, both Amara and Jiho were acting strange. Both keeping secrets. Both potentially in danger. Minjae picked up his phone and made another call. Hyunwoo, I need everything you can find on my son's recent activities. Where he goes, who he sees, especially this girl he's been spending time with. And I want it done without him knowing. Boss? If he finds out, he won't, because you're the best at what you do, and because I'm not spying on my son. I'm protecting him from threats he's too young and too in love to see coming. Understood. Minjae ended the call and returned to the window. Tomorrow, Amara would arrive. Tomorrow they would talk. Tomorrow, all the secrets would finally come out. He just hoped they both survived the truth. That night, 3 things happened that would change everything. First, in Yeosu, Amara woke at 2 a.m. to the sound of breaking glass. She reached for the phone she kept under her pillow, the panic button that would alert both local police and Minjae's people. But before her fingers found it, a hand clamped over her mouth and a voice whispered in English, "Scream and I kill you. Cooperate and you live. Your choice." She cooperated because she was pregnant and alone and terrified, and staying alive meant staying smart. Second, in Seoul, Jiho kissed Hana goodnight outside her apartment, completely unaware that his father's people were photographing them from 3 different angles. Completely unaware that Hana's father was watching from his own surveillance van 2 blocks away, seeing his daughter fall deeper into the trap that was supposed to be simple. Third, in Minjae's organization, someone made a phone call. She's being moved tonight. Yeosu to Busan. You'll have your window in transit. Make it clean. Make it look like an accident. And make sure Kang Minjae knows that his woman died because he couldn't protect her. The person on the other end agreed. Money changed accounts. Plans were set in motion. And the mole, the one person Minjae trusted implicitly, smiled and went back to work, satisfied that everything was proceeding exactly as designed. Amara woke with a splitting headache and the taste of chemicals in her mouth. Chloroform. Amateur hour. Anyone with proper training knew chloroform was unpredictable, dangerous, left traces, which meant whoever had taken her was either desperate or stupid. Possibly both. Her eyes adjusted to dim light filtering through a grimy window. Warehouse. The smell of salt air and rust meant she was still coastal, Probably Busan based on the ambient city sounds. Her hands were zip-tied behind her back, tight enough to cut circulation, but not tight enough to cause permanent damage. Another amateur move. She tested the restraints carefully. Standard hardware store plastic, maybe 60 pounds of tensile strength. Breakable if she had leverage and time. Time she might not have. The door opened. 3 men entered, faces covered with surgical masks. Like this was a pandemic instead of a kidnapping. The one in front held a phone, camera pointed at her. "Dr. Sarah Mitchell," he said in Korean. "Or should we call you Amara Thompson, the woman who thinks she can play vigilante without consequences?" Amara's mind raced through scenarios, calculating. They knew both identities. They wanted her alive or she'd already be dead. This was about leverage, which meant, "Kang Min-jae will pay anything for your safe return," the man continued. "But first, we need you to tell us about the invisible hand. Every member, every operation, every contact. You give us that, and maybe we let you live long enough to have that baby." Her blood turned to ice. They knew. About the network. About the pregnancy. About everything. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said steadily. The man laughed. "You're a terrible liar, Dr. Mitchell. We've been watching you for months. Every encrypted message, every dead drop, every piece of intelligence you fed to your boyfriend's organization. The invisible hand thought they were so clever, operating in shadows. But shadows have eyes too." He crouched in front of her, phone still recording. "So here's how this works. You talk, or we start cutting off pieces of you to send to Kang Min-jae. Nothing fatal, nothing that would hurt the baby. Just painful enough to make you cooperative, starting with those talented surgeon hands of yours." Amara forced herself to breathe through the terror. Pregnant. She was pregnant and tied up in a warehouse with men who wanted to torture information out of her. Every instinct screamed at her to protect the tiny life growing inside her, to give them whatever they wanted, to survive. But if she talked, she'd expose dozens of people in the network. Good people. People who'd lost loved ones to trafficking and violence and had chosen to fight back the only way they could. People who trusted her. And if she gave up the network, these men wouldn't let her live anyway. They'd kill her and dump her body somewhere Min-jae would never find it. "Go to hell," she said. The man sighed. Such a waste. He pulled a knife from his pocket, the blade catching the light. "Let's start with the left pinky finger. You're right-handed, yes? So you can still practice medicine with 9 fingers. Mostly." He grabbed her hand, and Amara did what every self-defense instructor had taught her, what her paramedic training had drilled into her muscle memory. She tucked her chin, bent forward fast, and smashed her forehead into his nose. The crunch was satisfying. The man screamed, stumbling back, blood pouring. His companions rushed forward, but Amara was already moving. She threw her weight sideways, rolling behind a concrete pillar, putting something solid between herself and the knife. "Grab her," the leader yelled, voice muffled by his broken nose. But Amara had found a sharp edge on the pillar, some kind of exposed rebar. She worked the zip ties against it frantically, plastic scraping metal, her shoulders screaming as she twisted at an unnatural angle. The ties snapped. She surged to her feet just as the first man reached her, his hands grabbing for her arms. Paramedic training said don't fight unless you have to. But 10 years of watching Min-jae's people train, of learning from them, of preparing for exactly this scenario, said fight dirty and fight to win. She drove her thumb into his eye socket. He screamed. She grabbed his head and slammed his face into the concrete pillar, once, twice, until he dropped. 2 left. The second man had a gun, was raising it, finger on the trigger. No time to think. Amara grabbed a piece of broken rebar from the floor and threw it like a spear. It hit him in the shoulder, throwing off his aim. The gun fired, deafening in the enclosed space, the bullet sparking off concrete somewhere behind her. She ran at him, using his surprise, driving her shoulder into his stomach and taking him to the ground. The gun skittered away. She grabbed his head and bounced it off the concrete floor. Once. Twice. He went limp. 3 down, but the leader was back up, blood streaming from his shattered nose, knife in hand, murder in his eyes. You stupid bitch, you think you can— A gunshot, not from him, from the doorway. The leader dropped, a hole in the center of his forehead, dead before he hit the ground. Amara spun, ready to fight, and froze. Minjai stood in the doorway, gun still raised, his face absolutely bloodless. Behind him, Daejung and 3 other guards, weapons drawn, sweeping the space for additional threats. Clear, Daejung said. Minjay lowered the gun and crossed the space between them in 3 strides, his hands gripping her shoulders, his eyes wild. Are you hurt? Did they— Amara, look at me. Are you hurt? I'm fine, I'm okay. How did you— You said we needed to talk tomorrow. I knew something was wrong. I had people watching your apartment. His hands moved over her, checking for injuries, professional and desperate. When they took you, my team followed. We've been waiting for the right moment to extract you without getting you killed. I had it handled. You had 3 armed men in a warehouse and you're 6 weeks pregnant.
Pregnant?
The words exploded out of him. Then he froze, seeming to hear what he'd just said. His hand stilled on her arms. His eyes went to her stomach. You're— Amara, tell me I didn't— Just tell me that's not— She couldn't speak. Could only stare at him as understanding and shock, and something that looked like wonder crashed across his face. How long have you known? His voice was barely a whisper. 2 days. I was going to tell you tomorrow. Minjay, I didn't know how. I didn't know what to do. I'm 38 years old and pregnant, and people are trying to kill me, and I don't— He kissed her, desperate and claiming and full of 10 years of love and fear and impossible choices. When he pulled back, his forehead pressed against hers, both of them breathing hard. We're having a baby, he said. Statement, not question. Reality, not possibility. We're having a baby, she confirmed, and I'm terrified. So am I, but we'll figure it out. Together, like we figure out everything else. His hands moved to her stomach, hovering, but not quite touching. Is the baby— I'm fine, we're fine, but Minjay, there's more. Things I need to tell you. About the invisible hand, about the network, about— Later. He pulled her against him, careful of her injuries, one hand cradling her head. Right now, I'm getting you somewhere safe. Then we talk. About everything. Daejung approached, his expression carefully neutral despite the chaos. Boss, we need to move. This location is compromised and we have 3 bodies. Police response is 10 minutes out. Understood. Get the van ready. Minjay turned back to Amara. Can you walk? I just fought off 3 kidnappers. I can walk. That's my girl. But his arm stayed around her waist, supporting her, protecting her, like he could shield her from everything if he just held on tight enough. As they left the warehouse, stepping over bodies and blood, Amara felt the weight of everything crashing down. The pregnancy, the network, the mole who'd sold her out, the danger that wasn't ending, just changing shape. And somewhere in Seoul, Jiho was falling deeper in love with a girl who was about to destroy everything. Jiho knew he should go home. It was past midnight, and his father would be waiting up, worried. But Hana was crying in his arms outside her apartment building, and nothing else seemed to matter. Tell me what's wrong, he pleaded. Please, whatever it is, we can figure it out together. You can't fix this. Her voice was muffled against his chest. Nobody can fix this. Try me. She pulled back, her face streaked with tears, and Jiho's heart cracked at the devastation in her eyes. My father wants me to do something I don't want to do, something that will hurt people I care about. Then don't do it. It's not that simple. My family, they're not like other families. There are obligations, debts, things I can't explain. Is he hitting you? Threatening you? Hana, if you're in danger? No, nothing like that. It's just, she covered her face with her hands. I shouldn't have let this happen. I shouldn't have fallen for you. This was supposed to be simple, and now everything's a mess, and I don't know how to fix it. What was supposed to be simple? She looked at him then, really looked at him, like she was memorizing his face. Jiho, if I told you something about myself, something bad, could you still... His phone rang. His father. Again. I have to take this, Jiho said reluctantly. Don't move, we're not done talking. He stepped a few feet away. Appa, I'm fine, I'm on my way. Come home now. Minjai's voice was steel. We need to talk. I'm in the middle of something. This girl you've been seeing. Hana, what's her full name? Jiho's blood went cold. How do you know about her full name, Jiho? Now. Song Hana, why? What's understanding hit like a truck? Song, the Song family, the family that had tried to kill him as a child. The family his father had destroyed. No, it's a common name. There are thousands of songs in Korea. She can't be Song Hana, daughter of Song Jae-sung, lieutenant in the remnants of the Song family organization. She enrolled in your university 6 months ago. Same classes as you. Engineered to be in your path. Minjai's voice was cold with fury and fear. She's been using you, Jiho. Getting close to you. Learning about us. Reporting back to her father. You need to get away from her right now and come home. You're wrong, but Jiho's hands were shaking. She wouldn't... We love each other. She's not... Jiho... He hung up, turned back to where Hana stood watching him, her face pale in the streetlight. It's not true, he said. Tell me it's not true. Tell me you're not... That your father isn't... I was going to tell you, she whispered. Tonight. I was going to tell you everything. The world tilted. Your Song family. Yes. You were sent to get close to me, to spy on my family. Yes. Everything was a lie. No. She stepped toward him, hands reaching. That's not... Jiho, it started as an assignment. My father told me to befriend you, to learn about your family, to find weaknesses we could exploit. But I didn't know you. I didn't know you'd be kind and funny and brilliant. I didn't know I'd fall in love with you. Fall in love? He laughed, bitter and broken. You don't love me. You can't love someone and lie to them about everything. I love you more than I've ever loved anything. Tears streamed down her face. And I hate myself for it because you're right. I've been lying and now you'll never forgive me and I deserve that. I deserve all of it. What was the plan? Seduce me and then what? Kill me? Kidnap me? Use me to get to my father? I don't know. My father hasn't told me the end game. But whatever it is, I won't do it. I won't hurt you. I'll tell him no. I'll walk away from all of it if it means... If it means what? We can be together? Live happily ever after? Hana, your family tried to kill me when I was 8 years old. Twice. A woman I love like a mother took 4 bullets for me because of your family. And you thought what? That we could just ignore all of that? I hoped. She broke down, sobbing. I don't know what I thought. I'm 18 and stupid, and I fell in love with the one person in the world I'm supposed to hate, and now everything's ruined. Jiho wanted to hate her, wanted to walk away and never look back. But 18 and in love was a special kind of stupid that didn't care about logic or family loyalties or the weight of a decade-old vendetta. I can't do this, he said. I can't be with someone who lies, someone whose family wants mine dead. I can't. I know, she wiped her eyes. For what it's worth, I really do love you. And I'm sorry for all of it. She turned and walked into her building, and Jiho stood there on the empty street, 18 years old and heartbroken and understanding for the first time why his father had spent 10 years trying to shield him from this world. His phone rang again. His father. I'm coming home, Jiho said before Minjay could speak. And Appa, you were right. About everything. He hung up and started walking, tears streaming down his face, the weight of his family's history crushing him with every step. Behind him, in her apartment, Hana picked up her phone and called her father. It's done, she said. He knows everything, and Father, I can't do this anymore. I won't hurt him. I don't care what you do to me. I won't be part of this. Song Jae-sung's voice was ice. Then you're no daughter of mine, and when we destroy the Kang family, you'll watch knowing you could have stopped it. He hung up. Hana sank to the floor, sobbing, 18 years old and in love, and caught between two families who would destroy each other given the chance. And in the darkness, the real plan continued, because while everyone was focused on the girl and the boy, on the romance and the betrayal, the true attack was coming from somewhere else, entirely. An hour later, Minjae's safe house in Seoul was controlled chaos. Amara sat in the medical bay while Dr. Yoon examined her, checking for injuries, running a blood panel, doing an ultrasound to make sure the baby was unharmed. Jiho paced in the hallway, his face pale and furious. Daijung coordinated with the cleanup team handling the warehouse bodies. And Minjae stood at the window of his office looking out at the Seoul skyline trying to process everything that had happened in the past 6 hours. Amara was pregnant. His son had been seduced by the enemy's daughter. Someone in his organization had betrayed them all. Boss. Hyunwoo entered without knocking, his face grim. We have a problem. Another one? The warehouse kidnapping. We've traced the operation. It wasn't the Song family remnants. It was someone else. Someone with inside knowledge of our operations and Dr. Mitchell's movements. Minjae's jaw clenched. The mole. Yes. And boss, there's more. The invisible hand, Dr. Mitchell's intelligence network, they've been compromised. Someone's been selling their operations to a trafficking syndicate. Multiple cells have gone dark in the past week. People are missing. It's a bloodbath. How compromised? Every level. Names, locations, operations. Whoever the mole is, they have access to everything. And they're using that access to dismantle the entire network. Minjae's hands fisted at his sides. Find them. I don't care what it takes. Find the mole and bring them to me alive. I want to know who they're working for and why. Yes, boss. Hyunwoo hesitated. There's one more thing. The mole, we've narrowed it down to 3 possibles based on who had access to the information that was leaked. Daejung, Cho, or Lee? The world stopped. Daejung? He had access to all the relevant intel. I know he's been with you for 15 years, but get out. Minjae's voice was deadly quiet. And if you accuse Daejung again without ironclad proof, I'll put a bullet in you myself. Am I clear? Yes, boss. Hyunwoo fled, but the seed was planted. Doubt. Suspicion. The corrosive knowledge that someone close had betrayed him. Minjae pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts, looking at names of people he'd trusted with his life. His son's life, Amara's life. One of them was a traitor. One of them had sold out the woman he loved and endangered his unborn child. The door opened. Amara, looking exhausted, but alive. Dr. Yoon hovering behind her. The baby's fine, Dr. Yoon reported. Minor abrasions and bruising on Dr. Mitchell, nothing serious. She'll need rest and monitoring, but both mother and child are healthy. Thank you. Min-jae waited until Dr. Yoon left, then crossed to Amara, pulling her into his arms carefully. Are you really okay? Define okay. She laughed, but it was shaky. I'm pregnant. I was just kidnapped. My intelligence network has been compromised. And apparently we have a mole in your organization. But I'm alive and the baby's fine. So relatively speaking, I'm doing great. We need to talk about everything. The pregnancy, the invisible hand, the mole, Jiho and the song girl. One crisis at a time, Amara interrupted. Right now, I need food and sleep and maybe a minute to process that I'm going to be a mother. She looked up at him, vulnerable in a way he rarely saw. I'm scared, Min-jae. I spent 10 years proving I could protect people without being consumed by violence. And now I'm pregnant, and people are trying to kill me, and I don't know how to keep this baby safe. We'll figure it out. Together. He pressed his lips to her forehead. But first, we need to find the mole. Because whoever they are, they know about the baby now. They know about everything. And they won't stop until they've destroyed us all. A knock on the door. Jiho, his face still streaked with tears, but his jaw set with determination. I need to tell you something, he said. About Hana, about what her father's planning. She told me some things before I found out who she was. Pieces that didn't make sense then, but do now. Tell me, Min-jae said. And as his son spoke, as the pieces started to come together, Min-jae felt the trap closing around them. The kidnapping had been a distraction. The romance between Jiho and Hana had been a distraction. Even the mole in his organization might be a distraction. Because the real attack was coming from somewhere they hadn't seen. Somewhere they'd never expected. And they had hours, maybe less, to figure out what it was before everyone he loved paid the price. Across Seoul, in a nondescript office building, a figure sat in front of multiple monitors, showing surveillance footage from Min-jae's safe house. They watched Amara and Min-jae embrace, watched Jiho enter the room, watched the family that had destroyed everything come together, thinking they were safe. The figure picked up a phone and dialed. Phase 1 complete. Dr. Mitchell is exactly where we need her. Kang Min-jae is distracted. The son is compromised. Time to move to Phase 2. What about the invisible hand? Dismantled. 23 members arrested or missing. The rest have gone to ground. They're not a factor anymore. And the pregnancy? A pause. Then, an unexpected complication. But ultimately, it makes our leverage stronger. Min-jae will do anything to protect that child. We can use that. Good. Proceed with Phase 2. I want the Kang family destroyed by sunrise. Every business, every ally, every asset. And I want Kang Min-jae to watch it all burn before we kill him. Understood. What about Dr. Mitchell and the son? Kill them first. Make him watch. Then we'll see how powerful the great Kang Min-jae really is when he has nothing left but his guilt. The figure hung up and returned to the monitors, watching the family below, unaware that their deaths had already been scheduled. Phase 2 was about to begin, and this time, no one was walking away alive. The attack came at 3 a.m. Amara woke to the sound of gunfire and explosions. Min-jae already moving, throwing her off the bed and onto the floor in one fluid motion. Stay down, he shouted, grabbing the gun from his nightstand. Don't move until I tell you. But Amara had lived in his world long enough to know that staying still meant dying. She crawled toward the bathroom where she knew there was a reinforced panic room, one hand pressed against her stomach as if she could physically shield the tiny life growing there. The door burst open. Not Min-jae. Cho, one of his lieutenants, weapon raised. His eyes found her, and something flickered across his face. Regret, maybe, or resignation. "I'm sorry, Dr. Mitchell," he said. "I really am, but they're paying me more than Kang ever could, and they promised my daughter would get the medical treatment she needs. So you understand." "It's nothing personal." "Cho?" The mole was Cho. "Your daughter has leukemia," Amara said, her medical mind cataloging details even through terror. "She's 12. You've been embezzling from the organization to pay for experimental treatment in Japan." "You know about that?" "I'm a doctor. I notice things. But Cho, whoever promised to help your daughter is lying. The moment you've served your purpose, they'll kill you and her. That's how these organizations work." "You're lying." But doubt crept into his voice. "I'm not. And I can prove it. I have contacts in Tokyo medical centers. I've been tracking experimental leukemia trials because that's what I do. I save people. Let me help your daughter. Let me make some calls. Just don't do this. Don't kill a pregnant woman and her baby because someone made you promises they won't keep." "I can't," but his gun lowered slightly. "They have my wife. They said if I fail..." Gunfire erupted somewhere in the safe house. Men shouting in Korean. More explosions. The floor shook. "We're out of time," Cho said. "I'm sorry, I really am." He raised the gun. The window exploded inward. Not from outside attack. From someone coming through. Daijong suspended on a rappelling line, gun already firing. Cho went down with 3 bullets in his chest, dead before he hit the floor. Daejung dropped into the room, cutting the line, already scanning for additional threats. "Dr. Mitchell, are you hurt?" "No, but Cho, he has a daughter with leukemia, a wife being held hostage. We need to..." "We'll handle it. Right now, we need to get you to the panic room. This safe house is compromised. They're coming through every entrance." "Where's Minjai? Where's Ji-ho?" "Boss is holding the main hallway. Ji-ho is in the West Wing with Hyun-woo. But Dr. Mitchell, there are at least 20 attackers. Professional military training. This isn't Song family remnants. This is something bigger." Amara let Daijung pull her to her feet, her mind racing. 20 professional soldiers attacking a fortified safe house. Cho compromised from the inside. This wasn't about revenge or territory. This was about complete annihilation. They made it to the panic room, a reinforced steel chamber hidden behind a false wall in the bathroom. Daijung punched in the code, the door hissing open. "Get inside, lock it from within. Don't open it for anyone except boss or me. You have food, water, communications equipment. If we don't come for you within 6 hours, there's an escape tunnel that leads to the subway system. Instructions are on the wall." Daejung, "I have to go. Boss needs every gun." He started to turn, then looked back. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you came into their lives. Boss and Ji-ho, they're better because of you. Happier, more human. If this goes bad, I want you to know that. It's not going bad. You're all going to survive this, and we're going to figure out who's behind it, and we're going to end them. You hear me?" He smiled, grim but genuine. "Yes, ma'am." Then he was gone, the false wall sliding, closed, leaving Amara alone in the panic room with nothing but her terror, and her racing heart, and the tiny life inside her that had no idea how close to death they all were. She sank to the floor, hands pressed against her stomach, and did something she hadn't done in years. She prayed. In the main hallway, Minjai fought like a man possessed. 5 attackers down already, their bodies littering the corridor, but more kept coming. Professional military tactics, coordinated assault, the kind of operation that required serious funding and planning. "West Wing is compromised," Hyun-woo's voice crackled through his earpiece. "They're pushing toward Ji-ho's position." "Fall back to secondary position," Minjae ordered, taking down another attacker with 2 shots to center mass. "Get Ji-ho to the panic room with Amara. Negative. Path is blocked. We're pinned down. Minjai's blood ran cold. Both Amara and Jiho separated from him, under attack. Everything he loved scattered across this safe house while enemies closed in. Daejung status! Dr. Mitchell is secure in panic room. I'm moving to reinforce West Wing. Daejung's voice was steady despite the gunfire in the background. Boss, we need to identify who's funding this. This isn't random gang violence. Someone with serious resources wants us dead. I know. Minjai ducked as bullets chewed through the wall above his head, returned fire, heard a scream. But right now we focus on survival. Analysis comes later. If there was a later. He reloaded, counted his remaining magazines. 48 rounds against an unknown number of attackers with unlimited ammunition and military training. The math wasn't good. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. Kang Minjai. The voice was female, Korean, educated. You're probably wondering who I am and why I'm destroying everything you love. The thought crossed my mind. My name is Park Ji-woo. You wouldn't know me, but you knew my brother, Park Sung-min. You killed him 7 years ago during your reformation of the organization. He was dealing in human trafficking, and you decided that violated your new ethical code. So you put a bullet in his head and dumped his body in the Han River. Minjai's mind raced back. Park Sung-min, small-time trafficker, refused to stop when ordered, forced his hand. It had been clean, necessary, a message that the new rules applied to everyone. Your brother was selling children, Minjai said coldly. Girls as young as 12. He deserved worse than he got. He was my brother, and you took him from me. So now I'm taking everything from you. Your woman, your son, your organization, your life. In that order. And I wanted you to know before you die that this is personal, that every bullet, every explosion, every drop of blood, it's all because of what you did to my family. You're making a mistake. Whatever you think you'll accomplish, I've already accomplished it. Your safe house is surrounded. Your men are dying. Dr. Mitchell is trapped in a panic room that I can breach within the hour. Your son is pinned down in the West Wing with nowhere to run. And you're alone in that hallway, running out of ammunition, with at least 15 of my people between you and everyone you love. You've already lost Kang Minjai. You just don't know it yet. The line went dead. Minjai stared at his phone for one precious second, then moved. Because Park Ji-woo was wrong about one thing. He wasn't alone. He'd spent 10 years building an organization based on loyalty and trust instead of fear. And those people, his people, would fight for each other the same way they'd fight for him. All units, he said into his comm. This is Kang. The attack is personal revenge from Park Ji-woo, sister of Park Sung-min, who I executed 7 years ago. She wants total annihilation. So we give her total resistance, no surrender, no retreat. We hold this house and we protect our family. Anyone not willing to die for that, leave now. Silence. Then Daijung's voice, steady and sure. Where you go, we go, boss. A chorus of agreement from the surviving guards. Then let's show them what happens when you threaten a family. Minjai checked his weapon. West Wing, I'm coming to you. Hold position for 90 seconds. We'll be here, Hyun-woo replied. Minjai took a breath, said a prayer to a god he wasn't sure existed, and charged down the hallway toward his son. In the panic room, Amara heard the explosions getting closer and knew the reinforced door wouldn't hold forever. She pulled up the communications panel, accessing the security feeds, and her heart stopped. 15 attackers in the building, more outside. Minjai fighting alone in the main corridor. Jiho and Hyun-woo pinned down in the West Wing. Bodies everywhere, both attackers and Minjai's people. This wasn't a fight. This was a massacre, and she was trapped in a steel box. Useless, while everyone she loved died trying to protect her. No, she wasn't useless. She was Dr. Amara Thompson, who'd built an intelligence network from nothing, who'd spent 7 years hunting traffickers in the shadows. She had resources. She had contacts. She had the invisible hand, if they were still operational. She pulled out her phone, miraculously undamaged, still connected to the encrypted network. Typed a message to Nightingale, her main contact. Emergency. Safe house under attack. Need immediate assistance. 20 plus hostiles. Military trained. Location attached. Anyone still operational. I need you now. For 30 seconds, nothing. Then messages started flooding in. Nightingale. En route. ETA. 12 minutes. Wraith. I'm 10 minutes out. Bringing friends. Phoenix. Seoul police on the way, but their 20 minutes were faster. Guardian. You saved my daughter from traffickers last year. I'm 5 minutes away and I'm bringing every favor I'm owed. Tears streamed down Amara's face. The invisible hand. The network she'd built of normal people who'd lost loved ones and decided to fight back. They were coming. For her. Because she'd helped them when they needed it. And now they were returning the favor. She switched to Minjae's private channel. Minjae, reinforcements are coming. 12 minutes. You just have to hold for 12 minutes. Amara? How? The invisible hand. They're coming. Just survive. Please, just survive. Always, he promised. Then the channel went to static as an explosion shook the building. Amara pressed her hands against the door, willing it to be over, willing everyone she loved to survive, bargaining with God and fate and the universe. 12 minutes. They just needed 12 minutes. The baby kicked for the first time. Tiny flutter, barely perceptible, but undeniable. Life. New life. A future that existed beyond this moment of violence and terror. We're going to make it, Amara whispered, one hand on her stomach. Your father and your brother and all of us. We're going to survive this and you're going to be born into a world we'll make better. I promise. The baby kicked again, as if in agreement. In the West Wing, Jiho fired his last bullet and accepted that he was probably going to die. He was 18 years old, he'd just had his heart broken by the girl he loved, and now he was pinned behind an overturned table while bullets tore through the walls around him. Hyunwoo was wounded, bleeding from his shoulder but still returning fire. 2 other guards were dead. Jiho, Hyunwoo said, his voice tight with pain. When they breach this position, I want you to run. There's a service corridor behind that bookshelf. It leads to the panic room where Dr. Mitchell is. You go, you survive. You tell your father I did my job. I'm not leaving you. You're the heir, the future of the organization. Your life matters more than mine. That's bullshit, and you know it. Jiho ejected his empty magazine, grabbed Hyunwoo's spare. We survive together or die together. Those are the options. Hyunwoo laughed, pained but genuine. You really are your father's son. And Amara's, Jiho chambered around. She taught me that protecting people isn't about hierarchy or importance. It's about doing what's right, and leaving you here to die alone is wrong. She's good for this family. Yeah, she is. The door exploded inward. 4 attackers rushed through. Weapons raised. Jiho fired, took one down. Hyunwoo got another despite his wound. But 2 were still standing, guns tracking toward them, and Jiho knew these were his last seconds. He thought of Hana, wondered if she was crying for him. Thought of his father, hoped he'd be proud. Thought of Amara and the baby she carried, his future sibling who he'd never meet. Then the attackers dropped, bullets taking them from behind. Minjae stood in the doorway, gun smoking, his face set in lines of fury and determination. Appa, Jiho breathed. Did you really think I'd let you die? Minjai crossed the room, pulling his son into a fierce embrace. You're my boy, my son. I'd burn the world down before I let anyone take you from me. Amara is safe. Reinforcements are coming. We just have to hold. Minjai turned to Hyunwoo. Can you walk? With help. Then we move, all of us, to the panic room. We consolidate our position, and we wait for backup. Move. They ran through smoke-filled corridors, over bodies and debris, Minjai leading, Jiho supporting Hyunwoo, the sounds of battle raging around them. Twice they encountered attackers. Twice Minjai put them down with efficient brutality. He was a man possessed, a father protecting his family with everything he had. They reached the bathroom, the false wall, Minjai punching in the code. The door opened. Amara stood there, tears streaming down her face, and Jiho had never been happier to see anyone in his life. You're alive, she sobbed, pulling both of them inside. You're both alive. For now, Minjai said. He sealed the door, engaged the locks. How long until your people arrive? 5 minutes, maybe less. Then we hold for 5 minutes. He checked his weapon. 2 magazines left. After that, we end this. An explosion rocked the panic room. The door, reinforced steel, held. But barely. They're using explosives, Daijung said. He'd joined them at some point, covered in blood, most of it not his own. That door will hold for maybe 2 more blasts, 3 if we're lucky. Then we make our stand here. Minjai looked at each of them. Amara, Jiho, Daijung, Hyunwoo, his family, his people. If they breach, we fight. No surrender, no mercy. We protect each other to the last breath. Agreed? Agreed, they said in unison. Another explosion. Closer. The door buckled but held. 1 more blast and they'd be fighting hand to hand in an 8x10 room. Amara pressed against Minjai's side, 1 hand on her stomach. I love you, she said. Whatever happens, I need you to know that. I love you and I'm grateful for every moment we've had. We're not dying today. He kissed her forehead. Our baby is going to be born, and Jiho is going to graduate university, and we're going to figure out this impossible life together. That's a promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. The 3rd explosion never came. Instead, gunfire from outside. Different weapons, different tactics. Then silence. Minjai's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Kang Minjai? A male voice, American accent. This is Guardian, from the Invisible Hand. Your girlfriend called in a favor. Park Ji-woo is in custody, along with 12 of her people. The rest are dead or fleeing. Your safe house is secure. Minjai's knees almost buckled with relief. How many of mine survived? 6 guards, plus the 4 with you. You lost 11 people tonight. I'm sorry. 11. 11 people dead protecting his family. 11 families who'd get a call tomorrow telling them their loved one wasn't coming home. Thank you, Minjai said hoarsely, for coming, for saving them. Thank Dr. Thompson. She saved a lot of us over the years. We don't forget that. The call ended. Minjai turned to Amara. It's over. She started crying, huge racking sobs of relief and grief and exhaustion. Minjai held her while Jiho pressed against her other side. The 3 of them tangled together, alive against all odds. 11 people, Amara whispered. 11 people died because of me. 11 people died protecting family, Minjai corrected. That's what we do. That's who we are. They didn't die because of you. They died for something they believed in. It still hurts. It always does. But we honor them by surviving, by building something better, by making sure their sacrifice meant something. Daijung opened the panic room door. Smoke and blood and the acrid smell of explosives filled their lungs. But also fresh air, freedom, life. They stumbled out into the destroyed safe house. into the arms of the Invisible Hand members who'd come when called, into a dawn that felt like resurrection. Welcome back to Afro-Korean Story Hub. If this story is gripping your heart and keeping you on the edge of your seat, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Drop a comment telling us, did you see these twists coming? What do you think happens next? Your support and engagement keep these stories alive. Thank you for being here, for feeling with us, for investing in these characters' journeys. 3 days later, they gathered in a new safe house to bury their dead and plan their future. 11 families attended services for their loved ones. Minjai spoke at each one, promising that their sacrifice wouldn't be forgotten, that their families would be cared for, that the organization they died protecting would honor their memory by being better. Amara met with each family individually, using her medical training to help them process trauma, connecting them with grief counselors, holding hands and crying with widows and children and parents who'd lost too much. Ji-ho threw himself into reorganization, working with Daijung to identify weaknesses in their security, to rebuild what Park Ji-woo had destroyed, to make sure this never happened again. And late at night, when everyone else was asleep, the three of them would gather in the living room and just exist together, no talking, no planning, just being alive and grateful and slowly processing the trauma of survival. On the fourth night, Amara broke the silence. I need to tell you both something about the invisible hand, about what I've really been doing for the past 7 years. So she told them everything. The network, the operations, the intelligence she'd been feeding Minjai without him knowing the source, the moral compromises, the ethical gray areas, the fact that she'd been living a triple life as doctor, intelligence operative, and Minjae's partner. When she finished, Minjae was quiet for a long moment. I knew, he said finally. Not all of it. But I knew your contacts were more extensive than you let on. I knew the intelligence was too good to be from informal sources. I let you have your secrets because I thought you needed them. You knew? Amara was stunned, and you didn't say anything. You needed to tell me on your own terms. Forcing the truth would have pushed you away. He reached for her hand. But I'm glad you told me. No more secrets. Not with a baby coming. Not after everything we've survived. No more secrets, Amara agreed, which means I need to tell you both. I want to scale back my involvement in the invisible hand. Not stop completely, but I can't risk my life like before. Not with a baby. I need to find a balance. We'll figure it out, Ji-ho said. Together. All of us. Family meeting about the vigilante spy network, Amara laughed shakily. This is so weird. This is us, Minjae corrected. Weird, complicated, dangerous, but ours. A knock on the door. Daejung, his expression carefully neutral. Boss, we have a visitor. Song Hana, she's asking to speak with Ji-ho. Ji-ho's face went white. Tell her no, tell her I never want to see her again. She says it's urgent. About her father. Minjae looked at his son. Your choice. You don't have to see her. But if her father's planning something, we need to know. Ji-ho stood, his jaw set. 5 minutes. Under supervision. And then she leaves and never comes back. He walked out, and Amara squeezed Minjae's hand. He's hurting. I know, but he's strong. He'll survive this. Will he forgive her? I don't know. I'm not sure I would. In the interrogation room, Ji-ho faced Hana across a metal table. She looked terrible, eyes red from crying, face pale, hands shaking, but she met his gaze steadily. Thank you for seeing me, she said. I know you hate me. You have every right to. You have 5 minutes. Talk. My father is planning something. Another attack. Bigger than before. He's partnered with other Song family remnants, and they're going after everyone. Your father, Dr. Thompson, you. They want total destruction. When? I don't know. Soon. He stopped telling me things after I refused to help him. But Jiho, he's serious. He'll kill you all if he can. You need to be ready. Why are you telling me this? What do you want? I want you safe. Tears streamed down her face. I know you'll never forgive me. I know I destroyed everything we had. But I love you, and I can't let you die, even if you hate me for the rest of your life. I don't hate you, Jiho's voice broke. I hate what you did. I hate that we can't be together. But I don't hate you. I can't trust you, and without trust, there's nothing. I know. She wiped her eyes. For what it's worth, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm sorry for all of it. She stood, started to leave, then turned back. Your family's lucky to have Dr. Thompson. She's everything my family isn't. Kind and brave and good. Take care of her. And the baby. And each other. Then she was gone, and Jiho sat alone in the interrogation room, 18 years old and heartbroken, and understanding that sometimes loving someone meant letting them go, even when it tore you apart. That night, as Amara lay in bed beside Minjae, his hand resting on her still small belly, feeling their baby move beneath his palm, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not naive hope, not innocent hope, but the hard-won, battle-scarred hope that comes from surviving the unsurvivable and choosing to believe in tomorrow anyway. We're going to make it, she said into the darkness. All of us. This baby, Jiho, you and me, we're going to survive whatever comes next. How can you be sure? Because we've survived everything else. Because we're stronger together than apart. Because we choose each other every day, despite the danger and the complications and the impossible odds. I love you, Minjae whispered. You and this baby and the insane life we're building together. I love all of it. Even the part where I'm a secret vigilante with a spy network. Especially that part. It's very sexy. She laughed, then sobered. Song Jae-sung is coming. Hana warned us, but we don't know when or how. We need to be ready. We will be, and this time we'll end it. Permanently. No more Song family, no more threats, just us, building something better. That's a big promise. I'm good at keeping promises. Ask our baby. Our baby can't hear you yet. Then I'll tell them when they're born. About how their mother took 4 bullets for their brother, about how she built an intelligence network to keep us safe, about how she's the bravest person I've ever met. And I'll tell them about their father, Amara said softly, about how he changed an entire organization because one woman showed him a different way, about how he chose love over power, family over control, hope over fear. They lay in the darkness, holding each other, feeling the baby move between them, and believed, against all evidence, despite all odds, that somehow they'd find a way to make it work. Because that's what families do. They survive. Together. Thank you for joining us for episode 3. This story continues because of you, your comments, your engagement, your passion for these characters. If you want episode 4, if you want to see Amara's pregnancy, the final confrontation with Song Jae-sung, Jiho's healing journey, and how this family navigates the impossible, let us know in the comments below. What twists do you want to see? What questions need answers? What moments do you crave? Your voice shapes this story. Like, subscribe, and comment. We're listening. We're here. And we're so grateful you're on this journey with us. Until next time, Afro-Korean Story Hub family.